Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. You know, I should just address it as welcome back to Draw Sessions, but I've realized that people in the comments actually call me Draw Sessions. My real name is Bobby, which, you know, not many of you know if you hadn't checked my older videos. And funny side note, people call me the Bob Ross of creature design, so I thought it'd be fitting next Halloween I should just put the camera on me and just be Bob Ross with a fake fro and just draw creatures. I think that'd be kind of funny. Let me know in the comments if you agree to that. Anyway, back to our lesson. So you'll notice up here, stiff characters, question mark. How many of you try to draw characters and you cannot figure out why they look stiff? Okay, you hear that term all the time. You can't fix your own problems. I'm going to tell you why your characters are stiff and exactly what to do to fix them. And believe it or not, it's pretty easy to fix them. They're just little minute errors that you make within the human body form. So let's say, for instance, you're drawing a character. Okay, you're doing everything right. Okay, you got your wireframe for the human. Okay, you're figuring out the hips, legs, okay, kneecaps. Uh-oh, you start to notice something. It's already looking stiff, and I can't figure out why. But instead of figuring out why, you just keep drawing the same mistake over and over again when you do your humans. Okay, so even your proportions might be right. You know, you got your hands mid-thigh. Okay, the thigh length is a little bit longer than the calf. And your feet are actually pointed the correct way. You got the neck. And then all of a sudden, you do that goofy little head tilt that you see in a lot of beginner portfolios. Those of you out there that have been subject to this ridicule, me included, you know exactly what that means. So, one way that I like to describe this is, hey, I just drew a constipated alien. Because that's what they look like. And they all look like this goofy, stiff creature, and you can't figure out why all of your characters look like that. So let's fix this problem. Let's move on over here. The first problem is not figuring out the gestural power of having a neck that is tilted. So for example, let's say you're redrawing this human, same angle, okay? Let's say it's a pretty tall person, okay? Buff guy, you want this hero pose, and you want to make sure that it does not look stiff. So for example, our necks, if you look at the human body from the side, if you study human anatomy, you go to figure drawing classes, our necks do not grow straight up. The vertebrae simply don't do that. So what happens is you have the shoulder joint and the neck's going straight up, and then you have a head. Well, it looks like you stuck a broom up somebody and it's going through the head. That's the first reason. Our necks actually sit forward a little bit. So if you're going to do a wireframe, just bend it forward. Notice how loose I'm being with this. So hopefully you have your sketchbook out right now, so you're doodling along with me, because maybe within the next 20 minutes or so, you're going to have a breakthrough that you didn't know you can possibly have, because you keep doing these little errors here and there. The neck is one. Now, if you're doing a character design, male or female, humanoid, doesn't matter for your portfolio, the direction in which the character is looking is also important. So a lot of times in beginner portfolios, like over here, you'll have the human just looking off into space like they're cathartic about something, or they're suffering from some kind of mass delusion, like they don't know where they're walking. But if you give the character purpose for existing on your page or your project, you want the character to connect with you. So turn the head slightly towards us. Put the line of sight in there. Don't really worry about the mouth or whatever, just to indicate where the head could be turned. Because if you go through the museums, you know, the art history museums or wherever you go to study old masters, if you look online or whatever, you'll notice that even the portraits and the characters that you see from old masters, you resonate with them. We resonate with them because they're making eye contact with you. So if you want to show off characters in your portfolio, give them a reason why to look right back at you. All right, it's very powerful. Okay, so we have that head tilted slightly forward. Okay, and let's say your anatomy the knowledge of your muscle groups and your skeletal system and everything is actually pretty good. But it's the stiffness that you can't get rid of. Well, this is going to help with one. Number two, the shoulders. Okay, so usually stiff characters in portfolios, it looks like the person is not resting the trapezius muscles. Okay, so let's take a character, for example, that doesn't have a lot of heavy armor on, male or female, doesn't matter. Let's say they're more urban style dressed, okay? So let's say they got a t-shirt on. All right, you want to rest those shoulders down a little bit to show the traps, and then the shoulder. They don't even have to be muscular. Now, before you go any further than this, the next big thing of how people ruin their character design is this. Look at that straight line going up and down. Okay, it's like somebody stuck a broom right up them, and you don't want that. There's a natural curvature to the spine. So you see over here, okay, we got that neck. The spine actually curves like this, and then it comes back, and then there's your tailbone. That curve is incredibly powerful for your characters. It doesn't matter what angle you draw them in. If you draw that curve, and then have the neck slightly facing forward, and then it goes up into the back of the head, it connects to the respective spot, and then you have your face. That does wonders for the stance. So, let's say we have this dude right here. It's typical streetwear, shorts or jeans, t-shirt. Maybe it can be in GTA or some kind of modernized game. The spine, I'm going to slowly put a curve on it, even at that angle. Okay, it's always good to do these rough wireframes first before you get into details. All right, and I also have my camera zoomed out just a tad so you can see more of the full body, because I don't want you to miss head to toe on what I'm going to do. Okay, after this, then I just like putting in some little ovals of where the shoulder joints could be. Now, mistake number 3. So we have straight head. Mistake number 2 is a straight spine. And then the third one are arms that are placed hanging down to the side as if the person cannot detach them from the body. So when you look at people walking, standing, turning, we as humans, we have to use our arms in order to make almost every movement. I mean, have you ever tried to walk while holding your arms still? No. Even when you stand, we have a resting state that even though our arms are resting to our sides, there's a slight bend in them a little bit. So the stiffness that happens in beginner portfolios are these arms that aren't doing anything. It's almost like the person is scared to do something with them. Don't be scared. Okay, remember, we're drawing somebody in our portfolio in a world that we're making up to serve a purpose. Is this a debt collector? Is this a warrior? Is this a car thief? Is this a hero? Are you drawing somebody that's going to school? Is this an NPC for the background? Like, who knows? Okay, so you got the curvature of the spine and now the arms. Put in the wireframe, just very lightly, of where you want the arms to be. So notice that even though I put in the spinal column like this, I still have room in here to draw the torso. So there's going to be the chest, the abdomen, diaphragm, all of that. But the arms are going to kind of help me gauge where that's going to be. Now you can start first either way. You can do the arms first, or you can do the torso first. Like the tapered V torso, you could do it like that. This guy isn't really super muscular. We're not drawing Ronnie Coleman here, so you don't have to worry about it. All right, I got that in. Okay, and then what I like to do is figure out what's going on with the second one. Okay, so maybe this one's straight down, but this arm goes up a little bit. So maybe this character is kind of seeking out an area. Maybe this character's curious. So I have a slightly raised eyebrow here. This one's a little lower. Maybe this person heard a noise and he's going to go investigate. Okay, maybe he actually has a gun and he's hunting somebody. Maybe he's a bounty hunter, or like I said before, a debt collector. Okay, once we have that, so if I turn it this way, you guys can see. Okay, so I'm just going to slightly tilt it. Okay, I'm going to leave this, except put in some spheres for joints. Okay, and now what I want to do is I want to slightly indicate the center line for the chest. Now, the center line is going to be different than the curvature of the spine. The spine is there just to give me a placeholder for where the torso is going to sit. The center line is going to run down the center of this neck, not the head. The head is turned towards us. It's not facing the same direction as the collarbones and the torso and everything. So I'm just going to indicate where the collarbones could be, clavicles, sternocleidomastoid. Okay, here I'm going to slightly draw outward. Okay, just having that expanse drawn of splitting, of showing, I guess I could say distance from that spine. It's going to show that there's going to be a solid surface of the chest right there. And then I'm just going to draw where the pecs would be. It's going to be slightly angled, but not much, because I'm pretending that this human is standing at eye level. Okay, so once we have these drawn, these areas, so we got the shoulder, the joints, we'll put in some wrist right here. See how cruddy this is? It doesn't matter yet. We haven't drawn any thickness to it. Now, the area that I want to focus on next, after we get that center line in where the pecs are, is the torso. So let's just move down a little bit. So you'll notice that this line right here, it looks like this. There's a slight angle. So there's an angle, it stops, and then it comes back in. Okay, so we want to indicate that very lightly. And then what we'll do is we'll start that V taper, and we'll just end it with an indication of where the t-shirt will stop. Okay, it might look funny right now just because there's no thickness to the arms. Okay, we don't have that in. We're going to do that next. Okay, but we have to almost draw a naked version of the person, and then we get some indication of where the shirt wrinkles and everything could be. Now we'll put in the thickness of the arms. So first things first, shoulders. Okay, shoulders are typically not bulbous all the way out. Okay, instead they grow from the clavicle at an angle, and then they bulge out at the very bottom. You just realized what I did. I just gave the dude a bottom right there. I'm just drawing the shoulder. I totally did not mean to do that. Anyway, you witnessed that in real time. Is it a blooper? Probably can be. But anyway, the shoulder, all right, and we're just going to put some thickness to it. Okay, maybe indication of where the t-shirt line could be, and the same thing out here. Okay, and then there's the forearm. There we go. Now, the other thing that could possibly be a little too stiff is when you get to the wrist, okay, there's a lot of gesture that can happen within the hand area. We're not quite there yet. So we're just putting in the t-shirt, and we're just putting in the wrist and where the bicep is, and just the thickness of the arm, because this person is doing something. We just don't know what yet. Probably, like I mentioned before, holding a weapon. I don't want to say clipboard because that would be kind of cheesy. Okay, let's just indicate where the deltoid is right there. There we go. So now the person is really curious. We got a tilt in the head. We got a curvature of the spine. Okay, and then the other thing is when you add in that curvature of the spine, you want to make sure that the torso is following what that spine is doing. They shouldn't be doing separate things. If you stick your belly out, you have to use your spine to push forward in order to stick that belly out. Okay, so this person is going to be standing very curious, but like they're stopping their weight from moving forward. So see that center line right here? I'm going to take that center line all the way down to where the belt buckle is. Now, I'm just going to indicate through some scribbling what I could do for the belt. And then that's it. Now, over here, you want to add in a curvature of the belt to make it seem like, hey, this person has a tucked in shirt. It's wrapping around. That's cool. Okay, so once we have that, here's where the next mistake lies. This area, you got hips and just thighs that just go straight down. That is character stiffness 101. So, pretend that you draw in the hip, okay, just like you're looking at a toy. You know, those little, you just see the articulation where the little joints go into the hip. Now, here's the fun part though. You're going to get a nice curve down the whole part. of the body. Okay, so this leg right here, instead of going straight down, okay, you're going to put a slight curve going back towards behind the body. All right, and then you can put in some wireframe there, and then this one, this part of the leg, so his left leg, you want to avoid going straight down. Unless he's bringing his foot forward, you can do that. Instead, give him a more dynamic pose. Slightly bend outward that leg, like he's stepping into his curiosity. That's going to make it much more intriguing. So now what I'm doing is I'm just adding some thickness, like he's wearing jeans. Okay, and then his see-through like underwear. Let's just give him like a pocket right here, and maybe like a pouch, a bigger pouch right here. Just some cool stuff to have on the belt. Maybe this is a lightly traveled hitman or something. He doesn't have to bring much. Okay, now tilt it up so you can see it. Okay, so now we're getting somewhere. So this is the stiff version. Okay, I don't know what to call him. We'll call him Bill. Okay, so this is stiff Bill, and this is energetic Bill. All right, so stiff Bill looks like he's in pain, just standing like he's really suffering. Okay, and we don't want Bill to suffer. Okay, so the next thing to do, if you don't want stiff characters, is accentuate some of the body parts to bring some more dynamism to it. It has to have a dynamic stance, he or she. All right, so you'll see here down at the knees, okay, we got a kneecap here and a kneecap here. This is where another mistake happens in character design. The kneecaps aren't facing the correct way when coupled with the way the feet are turning. That happens all the time. So a lot of times what will happen is people will draw a foot, and then the far right one is completely to the right. It's a right angle, and then this one's pointed down. We don't stand like that. Nobody does. Unless you have very expensive shoes that you want to show off and you're deliberately pointing towards us. All right, so this is why the wireframe is so important. So that femur that's bending here, okay, you want to continue that curve. You see that slight curve in the leg. Okay, now the distance between the hip and the kneecap is going to be greater than the distance between the kneecap and the ankle, slightly. A lot of times, depending on what type of character you're drawing, like if it's a real human that you're not accentuating the proportions like a fashion portfolio or anime, then this is typically going to be a little shorter. Okay, and then you're going to have some bunched up fabric in here for the jeans. See how I'm not getting into a lot of detail down there? I don't really need to. But instead, this curvature of his left leg, you're going to want to bring out a little bit more. Now, here's another really cool opportunity to put some like dynamic gesture in here, and that is that calf muscle. Accentuate the curvature of that calf going out, because what it's doing is it's moving outward. And in body language, the farther our legs are spread apart, the more dynamic our stance and even how we sit looks. Okay, you don't want to appear weak. So this human doesn't appear weak. All right, now he has a wide open stance. He might be like an off-duty cop or something, and he's really brave about what he's doing. Okay, so now he's looking out for his partner. Maybe he's looking for a partner. Maybe he heard a strange noise and he's about to reach for like a flashlight for his utility belt or whatever. You can even put something on his jeans right here. Maybe there's a weapon in there. Who knows? Who knows? Just cool stuff. Okay, so here you got some bunched up fabric, and here's what I was talking about with the kneecap, depending on the foot. Now, if you want to avoid the stiffness of a character in the feet, after you do the nice curvature of the legs, make sure that this foot slightly points downward. So the angle that you're going to have for your character, if you want to do it in this stance, is the angle this way, and then the angle at us. But this angle doesn't have to be completely at us. You can turn the foot slightly. turning the feet slightly would give it a little bit more realistic look, because just look how you stand. Just look in the mirror. Look how your family members stand and your friends, whoever's at a bus stop or shopping. Like, you can definitely see it. All right, and then the foot, you want to avoid too big of feet. Like if you have boots on your character, that's good, because it gives you an opportunity to add a lot of material around it and it still looks cool, so they don't have weak ankles. Okay, and then just indicate very loosely where these boots could be for the person. There we go. Okay, so you have indication of some shoelaces, maybe some bunched up fabric right here. Get a little bit darker down by the sole, so at least you can see where the shoe ends, or the boot. There we go. Okay, and then you can put in, I don't want to give him too tight of jeans. He's got to have some breathing room in there. Okay, so while we have a really cool stance going, if I put it up like this, you can see. So he's pretty tall. All right, that's cool. Now, the thing to do is figure out what to do with those hands. Now, since the hands are in front of the legs, I like to block off the palm, or I'm sorry, the back of the hand. And there are certain gestures that you do with the fingers that even old masters used to do. You couple the two middle ones together, spread open the pinky finger, or I'm sorry, the pointer, and then the pinky might be here. There's your thumb. Okay, there's that one. Okay, maybe he's got a glove on. That'd be kind of cool. You don't want to make it too long, so just put the fingers in a little bit. And then maybe this one, maybe he's got a gun. And you just want to indicate where they could be gripping the gun. I'm just making gestures right here, nothing too much into detail. Because again, this would never be a final. This would be more of just like a preliminary sketch. And also the angle of it on the camera might be a little different. So you can see if I just move it slightly here, it could be a little longer depending on how I fold this in. So just looking over this type of sketch, if you suffer from making stiff characters, just look at poses from character art that's already been established. So one of the methods that I like to teach my students is find that really inspiring concept artist that you like for characters, okay? Whoever it is in the industry. Look at their artwork, bring it into Photoshop, ghost it, and then you trace your character over top of the poses that they made. And what this does is it kind of gets you acclimated to doing poses that look good for video games, because I think a lot of aspiring artists don't understand that the poses they have in their portfolios just suck. Like they're bad because nobody told them that they're bad, or they just don't listen and they don't want to make it better. So, and I'm being harsh here, but I think it's a much needed harshness. You have to look at what looks good in games if you want to make art for games. So if you're just off doing your own thing and wondering why nobody's hiring you, and that could possibly be it. Now, if you're just doing this for a hobby and you just want to learn how to get better at characters, there's still a lot to be learned about doing video game style characters, because it's different than movies. If you do characters for movies, they typically want more fleshed out illustrated looks, or just juxtaposed faces of the actors on the artwork that you do, because they want to know what it's going to look like in the film. That's a little different. So for games, you still have some clear, creative freedom, I guess you could say. All right, and then the other thing is when you're doing characters, you got to give your character purpose. Okay, so that emotional connection that we have, even if I'm drawing the face and this person is cocking the eyebrow a little bit, the brow is furrowed, maybe the hair is a little rough. I'm getting a little darker around the hair because maybe this person has been searching for someone, can't quite find them, but he's hearing a noise. Okay, maybe he's looking for his partner that has been trapped in the basement somewhere, and there's a not so good person keeping him hostage. Like a lot of cool scenarios. I always like giving my artwork some scenarios just so there's a frame of reference. Okay. Now you can see here that the outline to the body is a little bit more, I guess, doodled upon. That's just because I want to show some texture without going too far into it. And there are some areas that I can correct on this. Like maybe I can make this arm just a little bit longer going this way. But for the most part, this right here looks way better than that. Okay, so the next stage, if you want to be a character artist, is taking a sketch like this, or 5 or 6 or 7 of them with different outfits. And then you take them and then you refine them. Okay, so that'll probably be the next part to this lesson, how to fix your character stiffness. So if you're drawing along with me today, please just look at your drawing and ask yourself, have you taken a next step? Does it already look better? Do you suck? Why is that? Why don't you listen to anybody when they tell you that you suck? Or are you just afraid to hear the truth? If you're afraid to hear the truth, just take a deep breath, sleep on it, and then the next day ask for feedback. And you're going to feel liberated. You're going to feel a lot better about your art when you know that finally the problem has been addressed. So if you found this lesson helpful, I offer several things. One is a private mentorship. Those spots fill up very quickly per month. I have students re-signing up too. And if you email me at bobbyrevholtz@gmail.com, I'll be glad to give you some information about my private mentorship. The other thing I want to mention is if you check the links in the description below, you're going to see Creature Design Workshop Discord. It's a bustling community. We just hit 5,100 members. I think we're at 5,300. I don't know. I'm losing count now. But it's a bustling community with artists of all backgrounds. We got tech artists in there. We got graphic designers, fashion designers, industrial designers. We got industry veterans in the game industry, movies. We got complete beginners. Everybody's learning from each other. And the other thing is there are places in there to discuss getting better at your art. We have monthly creature design challenges based on briefs that I give that mimic closely what you would get from a client, and we vote on those. We've had about 5 or 6 of them now. I think we started that back in June. A lot of fun. And then, of course, we have reference forums, really big ones, that are added upon pretty much every day. You can show pics of your cats, your studios that you draw in, all that fun stuff. Now that I'm drawing this, wouldn't that be funny if there was this patch right here, some sewing or whatever, like this person just found some jeans and be like, hey, I'm just gonna wear those. Yeah, it's kind of fun. Also, I teach creature design for film and games at Computer Graphics Master Academy. So it's an online course. I've been teaching that for over 8 years now, and we have early signups for it for our January term. Fall term is going on right now. We got about 2 classes left, and then early signups happen. We cap it at 20 students. So it fills up really fast. So just keep that in mind. Check the link in the description below for that. And then the last thing I want to talk about is, you guys have helped me so much, and I am so incredibly thankful. I especially want to give a shout out to the channel members. Thank you for supporting me through the tip jar, because the tip jar allows me to get stuff like this, just art supplies. Okay, you can never have enough. I go through these so quick. I mean, look at this. You know how I've told you that I use number 4 or 4B pencils. I keep getting these pencils. Some are longer than others because I go through them like crazy. So thank you all who have tipped me in the tip jar. That's the only tier I got. Okay, so thank you very much for that. And comment below if this lesson has been helpful. And you've just been watching me doodle some wrinkles on here. So if you have stiff drawings, what did I just do for that nose? Ugh. Well, I can't cut that out, so that's probably got a runny nose or whatever. If you got stiff drawings, comment below, admit it, and then maybe we can help you. All right. Thank you all for watching me doodle energetic Bill, and we're leaving behind stiff Bill. Peace.